Sonic was one of my most favorite series of all times, and while his reputation nowadays is a little iffy, I had been with him through most of my life, which is insane. My first Sonic game I played was Sonic Chronicles, which wasn't the best start to the series. In fact, it was probably the worst start. But not too long after I played that game, I got Sonic Unleashed on Xbox 360, and I enjoyed it. Then when I got a DS, one of my first games was Sonic Colors. Then a couple of weeks later, I got Sonic Classic Collection, which was a collection of the classic Sonic games. It had 1, 2, 3, and Knuckles in one game. This was my first experience with the classic games. At first, I mainly played Sonic 3 the most, but of course, another one I kept playing time and time again was Sonic 1, which is the topic of today's video. Hello guys, and welcome to my Sonic series, where I'll be covering mostly every game in the series from Sonic 1 up to Frontiers, which isn't out right now, but when it is out, it's gonna be covered. Anyways, let's jump right in with Sonic 1, the game that made Sega what it is today. The plot of the game is simple. The villain, Dr. Ivo Robotnik, kidnapped the animals in South Island and is using them for badniks. Sonic sees this as not cool, so he goes after him to save the animals. Pretty simple, huh? There are a total of 6 zones with 3 acts in each. There's Green Hill Zones, which nowadays you see in every Sonic game. Marble Zone, one of my least favorites. Spring Yard Zone, which is way too busy. Leopard Zone, which is my least favorite. Starlight Zone being my favorite. And Scrap Brain Zone, which is just meh. Green Hill is one of the perfect stages to introduce a player to. This level is structured so well here, and the scenery is great. Same with the music. The boss fight is simple here. Robotnik pulls out the ball and swings it left and right. Yep, that's literally it. If you're playing the Genesis version, you can literally just kill him in 2 seconds. As he's coming down, you can then just bop some hits on him immediately. It's really easy. Another thing that's a Sonic staple is the special stages, and Sonic 1 isn't that great. The stage spins around as you try to find the Chaos Emerald locked behind these diamonds. Touching the goal will end your run if you're not careful. If you fail, you don't get a chance to retry, as the next time you go into a special stage, it will just cycle to the next one. Now, how do you get to the special stage? If you have 50 rings and make it to the end of the level, there will be a big ring. Jump into it, and you get taken to one. But it's not always easy to keep 50 rings on you. Speaking of rings, they act as a health bar of sort. If you get hit, you lose all of them, and you can collect them to get them back. You hit with no rings, and it's a death. That's how the mechanics work for basically each Sonic game. Now what does Sonic have for movement? Not much. All you can do is jump, which you can press A, B, or C for, and rolling, which you can press down on the D-pad. That's all he has for this entry. Anyway, on to Marble Zone, which I already said was one of my least favorite zones in the game, and there's a reason. Most things in the zone are annoying. The badniks are okay for this one. The caterpillars are annoying though, as they have a tiny hitbox and they will break into pieces if you touch anything except their head, which definitely can be annoying, especially since sometimes you hit them in the head and they still do that. But other than that, the rest of the badniks are fine, and the zone itself is not too much. There's mostly waiting for things, though, like you having to stand on a block to wait for this lava thing to spew you up, and if you mess up any of that, well, say goodbye. That's what most of this zone comes to, and it's probably because I suck, but most of the time when I boot up this game, I play for Green Hill, and then I get a game over on Marble Zone, and I just play something else. The boss this time, as Robotnik spews out fire from his machine, and there are 2 platforms to go on. He sets one of them on fire for a bit, making it not able to use, but as he comes toward, you can just start bopping him. He'll then try to set your platform on fire, but then you just jump onto the next one, rinse and repeat until he's dead. On to Spring Yard, and this zone is way too chaotic. Man, there's springs everywhere that probably lead you to a badnik, or something else. Music's nice though. But other than that, this zone isn't much to talk about other than it is insanely crazy. I always take it slow because I don't want to run into a badnik. And another thing, I honestly like the prototype version more, to be honest. It looks a lot more pleasing. Also, figured I'd mention this now, but I don't know why I didn't mention this at the beginning of the video. But if you have 3 lives, of course you get a game over. If you lose all of them, well, Obviously, you get the game over. But the worst part is, unless you have a continue, which you can only grab by, going to a special stage, and I don't even know the condition for that one, you, you start all the way back to Green Hill Zone. Yep, there is no save system, not even a password. The only way to get back is if you input a cheat code to level select, in which the code is up, down, left, right on a title screen. If you hear a ring sound, you did it right. Then hold A and start, and then get to where you last left off. Anyway, the boss for Spring Guard Zone. So the floor is coded with whatever these things are, and Robotnik has these spike that can pick one of them up and break it. So your goal is to kill him before he gets rid of all of them. So just keep bopping him. Oh boy, here we go. Labyrinth Zone, everyone's favorite level. Yeah. For starters, this is the first time you get introduced to water, which would be fine if Sonic knew how to swim. But he doesn't, so it makes the water levels the most annoying experiences in the game. Fun fact, the reason why Sonic can't swim is because of Yuji Naka's research. He assumed hedgehogs couldn't swim until one day he actually saw one swim. Alright, that's fun fact over. Okay, hold on, let's... Well, imagine messing up on a strip, So, alright, fun fact over. Back to my least favorite zone. So, why are the water levels, other than Sonic, why are the water levels the most annoying thing? Well, other than Sonic not being able to swim, he's also slower underwater, which makes movement harder. The other thing? That right there is one of the most scariest things I encountered as a kid, and even to this day, it still makes me rush. Combine that in the movement, and you got yourself a terrible zone that really shouldn't even exist. The boss this time is pretty frustrating, and that goes double for the GBA version. Hitting the checkpoint, you see 3 blocks. If you jump on one of them, the water will start to rise, and the boss begins. This time, Robotnik is just trying to get to the top of the level, and you don't have to worry about killing him this time. Instead, you chase him up, and along the way, annoying obstacles such as fire being spit at you, and spikes that can knock you down in the water, and most likely drown from that. It takes a few tries, but to jump on those blocks, I mentioned the water overtakes you, and worse, if you die, the water comes back. And here's the funny thing. If you fail to jump on those 3 blocks I mentioned, well, at the beginning of that checkpoint, the water overtakes you. And worse, if you die, the water doesn't come back. So, game over, right? Actually, no. If you crouch for a few seconds, everything will come back down. That's a relief. Anyways, that's it for Labyrinth Zone. A painful stage that generates frustration. Thankfully, things cool down with the next zone, Starlight Zone, and my god, this has got to be my favorite zone from this game. The music, the scenery, everything is so fun here. There isn't much to complain about here. The boss is also unique. There are 3 seesaws, and Robotnik launches spikes at them. What you do is you go on the opposite side of the seesaw that the spike is, not on, and then you will and upon jumping on that, it will throw the spike up into the air, which will either hit Robotnik if he's near it, or throw you up into the air and have a chance to hit him right there. Very fun boss. And now we're at the last zone, Scrap Brain Zone, which is mainly a waiting game. The music is a bop though. But then you get to Act 3. And this is literally Labyrinth Zone Act 4. Annoying badniks, frustrating water controls, the usual Labyrinth Zone bullshit. But before you know it, you hit springs and you're sent off to the final boss, which is actually really easy. To start, you have no rings in this fight, which of course means 1 hit and you're dead. Next, there are things. I don't know what they are, but they are things. And Robotnik uses them randomly and tries to squash you. But move out of the way and you'll be able to bop him. And last thing, this boss has absolutely no phases, just this one. And after every hit you get out of Robotnik, these pink electro things come out and target you, which again are easy to avoid. Keep on doing that again and again, and before you know it, you beat the game. Boy, this game is frustrating as hell, but for the first game in the series, it's not bad. Yeah, I don't play them that much nowadays, but it's fun to go back every once in a while. Now, there are 2 endings in this game. The first one is when you don't grab all the emeralds. The game just tells you to try again. Nothing special here. The true ending is when you try grabbing all the emeralds, and it's not that great either. All that happens is that flowers bloom, and instead of saying try again, it says end. And that's gonna do it for my part 1 of Sonic series. I know this video, I'm very sorry this video took so long to make. School has been eating at me, so I haven't had the time to make this. But it's the weekend, so now I got time. Yeah! Expect the Wii Sports Club video to come tomorrow. Until then, see you later.